Good morning, and thank you for joining us for SBB University. I am your publisher of Seniors Blue Book and your moderator for today. Really excited to bring a dynamic panel discussion together with this lovely group of ladies, all located down in East Naples. Although their communities can be similar in a lot of ways, they're also very, very different. So, representing assisted living with us today is Miss Colleen Long over at Tuscany Villa. How are you this morning,
Hi,
Colleen?
Amanda. Thank you so much. Doing
Wonderful.
great.
And we have Felicia Saraceno, who is representing the continuing care retirement community sector for today. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And our executive director over at Barrington Terrace, Miss Tammy DeCaro, who will be talking to us about memory care, one of her specialties and something near and dear to her heart. How are you this morning, Tammy?
Fantastic, Amanda. Great to see you and be on this panel with all of these wonderful professionals.
Yes, yes. And we have Renee Smith, who is going to be representing the rental continuing care retirement community sector of today. How are you this morning, Renee?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And last but certainly not least, we have Carrie Bone, who has a beautiful new independent living community over at Discovery Village at Naples. And she is going to be talking to us about independent living today. How are you today, Carrie?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much again for coming on board with us today for the panel. I want to start by just giving you an opportunity to chat for a second about your community. And then we're going to dive into some regular icebreaker questions that I feel most people need to know when they're touring your communities. So Colleen, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up at Tuscany Villa.
So I'm originally from the New York, New Jersey area, and I've had a condo on Marco Island for almost 20 years. And when we decided to move down here permanently, we took the plunge, came down, and 3 weeks later, I found this opportunity at Tuscany Villa, and I've been here for 3 years now. Absolutely love it. It's a wonderful community. We have 134 apartments. We have a wonderful staff. We have a fantastic new executive director. And we're just really excited about the future with her as our leader. We have a beautiful heated pool, great amenities, a movie theater, great dining with our executive chef, Salvatore from Naples, Italy. So we're excited with that as well. And we just have a wonderful team, and the residents here are just a joy to be around every single day.
Perfect. Thank you. Felicia.
Well, thank you. I'm originally from the Northeast. I'm from Connecticut, and we moved down here about 3 years ago. And before moving down, I had still worked in senior living as a salesperson and as an executive director. I have moved down here to Florida and Naples. And I've been working at the Arlington for almost 2 years now. So it's a great experience for me to work within the CCRC atmosphere.
Perfect. All right, Tammy, you have an extensive background. Tell us all about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from Indiana. That's something a lot of people don't. I feel like I lived in Florida so long, I have to remind myself I'm actually a Hoosier. So I've been in Florida about 25 years, maybe a little less. And immediately moved here for a job and immediately met my husband, and that's it. Live here in Naples for about 13 or 14 years, I guess. I came here with another healthcare company to start hospice here in Naples, and found my way to senior living about 7 years ago, and have discovered that this was what I was meant to do all along. Just took me a little while to get there.
You may have a little bit of a soft spot for the executive director over at Tuscany Villa, huh?
I might. Yeah, she's one of my dearest friends. We kind of took that hospice and senior living journey together. And now she's my neighbor, which I love. And we actually have a very good referral relationship with each other. So that's actually, well, one thing I will say about all of our communities down here in the East Trail is we kind of when COVID hit, we were calling each other and helping each other and supporting each other through all the problems. I've talked to Carrie's director many times, Carla, and really, really love the camaraderie that we have down here, which you don't find in a lot of other healthcare areas. So I'm excited to be here today. Amanda and I have done a couple of these webinars and panels together, and really enjoy it every time I do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Renee, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to where you are. You've been at the community quite a while, haven't you?
Well, quite a long time, yes. Interesting. I mean, I have a commercial sales and leasing background for many, many years. Came to Naples about 21 years ago. Left that kind of field, had a chance to work with my husband a little bit and said, nope, 7 days a week is way too much. Keep it to just at night. And this opportunity came up here at Lely Palms. And this year I'll actually be celebrating 20 years at Lely. We've got a beautiful campus. I know that's unheard of, 20 years anywhere. But it's wonderful. The other employees are great to work with. The residents are wonderful. And we just have a beautiful spot here, very affordable, beautiful community, a lot of warmth and friendliness. And so it makes my day every day. I get a chance to come and be a part of it. Great.
Perfect. And Carrie, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you landed with Discovery.
Well, I'm originally from Michigan, and I started coming to Southwest Florida, believe it or not, back in the late 70s with my family. And I chose to relocate permanently down here just about 20 years ago. I come from over a decade in healthcare, primarily mental health and behavioral health. I was doing regional business development. There was a lot of travel, and I decided maybe I didn't want to travel so much. It always looks glamorous on the other side. Till you're in the Atlanta airport all night, waiting on a plane. And anyway, so I looked at really where would I want to channel my passion and my energies. And that went into senior care. And I cut my teeth in memory care, freestanding memory care. And that was just, I still too have a really big heart for that level of care. But currently I'm with Discovery Village at Naples, and I've been with them almost 2 years. Today I am representing our brand new independent living community. And we also have a continuum of care on that campus, which I will explain later during this interview. So anyway, honored to be with all these dynamic women in East Naples. So
yes. Well, we're going to start with Dementia, because when you're entering into a continuing care retirement community, I'm going to say that's the healthiest that you need to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about the different types of CCRCs out there. I will say that our industry probably has more acronyms than any other industry out there. So you hear the term CCRC. Felicia, tell me what a CCRC is. What does that acronym stand for, and the different types of contracts that are available?
Sure. So a CCRC is a continuing care retirement community. But nowadays, people are talking about it as a life plan community. So just to make it even more confusing, they're now changing that language. But they offer independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing, all on the same campus. There are 3 different types of contracts, and I'm going to do my very best to make sure I touch base for all of them. There is a type A contract, and it's an entrance fee, and it often is particularly refundable to you or your estate. There's also a monthly service fee, which covers all of your utilities, services, amenities, dinings, activities, scheduled transportation, maintenance, and much more. But they also guarantee access to you to all levels of care if needed, or if your spouse needs it. And then they assure that you always have that home life balance. A type B modified life care contract is what the Arlington is. It's very similar to a life A, However, the possibility of the entrance fee is a little bit lower. It includes almost the same residential services and amenities that a type A contract offers. However, if higher level of care is needed, like assisted living, memory care, or skilled nursing is needed, you'll have access to that and you're guaranteed a spot. And you either have a predetermined number of days or years to use that with. And you also get a discount on that healthcare rate. So it's a lower rate for you. And then the monthly fee that you pay depends on, what your level of services is. So take, for instance, here at the Arlington, we do have the buy-in, the entrance fee on the independent living side, but on the healthcare side, the assisted living, memory care, and skilled, you still can come in and move into that side for right now. And you don't have to buy in, so to say, you don't get that higher entrance fee. A type C is a little bit different, and it's a fee for service contract that generally requires the lower entrance fee and monthly services. They offer all the similar rates for residential services and amenities. And if you need any assisted living, memory care, or skilled nursing, you'll be charged market rates. So your rates can kind of fluctuate throughout the years.
Very well done. Very well done. Good job. So, and we're going to get with Renee next to talk about the rental side of a continuum of care, because they're a community that's spread out over a beautiful campus offering all options. But Felicia, talk to me, because when you talk about a continuing care retirement community that's governed by the insurance, what are some of the tax benefits of moving into a community like that?
Great question. So there are some potential tax saving benefits if you move in here. You do get a one-time tax deduction on your entrance fee, and then ongoing deductions for your monthly fees. And they're really considered medical expense deductions, but you always want to check with your tax advisor for that appropriate amount and whatnot.
Yeah. We always,
and our folks can also apply for homestead.
Okay. Yeah, say that one more time. I'm sorry. I feel like I talked over you.
Oh, sorry. No, they can also apply for homestead as well.
I didn't know. Learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Renee, we'll jump right over to you. Talk to me about the differences between a rental CCRC that has the services that you have versus what Felicia has to offer, which we call it a buy-in, but it's really more of that. It's more of that entrance fee because there is eligibility to get that back. So you're not actually buying anything there.
Right, exactly. So the great thing about a CCRC, and as Felicia said, it really has, the terminology is changing. So it's really about planning your future, planning your life, a life plan for your future. Great thing about those communities is you do have everything. And once you make, because it's such a huge decision to make the move from your, single family home or condo and to go in a community like this, you want the peace of mind that you're going to be able to stay in that community and really enjoy the balance of your life. No matter what happens, you will be able to have those levels of care that you will need in the future. The difference between a kind of quote unquote buy-in versus a rental, all of those folks want that as well coming into a rental. The big difference is affordability. So we're again, sort of buy-in has the entrance fee. A rental, it doesn't. It has a monthly fee, and you are basically paying for what you need today, not paying for what you may or may not need in the future. But you have the peace of mind that it's there for you. You can move to that next level of care if you need it. So really it's the security, the feeling of security for your future. And it's very flexible. So if you decide to move up north and you want to have to do that very quickly, you give us, a 60-day written notice. If it's a medical reason that you're moving to the next level of care, then all we require is a doctor's note. So you have that flexibility, you have that security in place, and you definitely have the affordability that a rental, provides you.
So if I'm hearing you, one of the best advantages of a rental over like necessarily a buy-in is if you need
Mhm.
to, if you have family up north and you decide on a whim that you want to be closer to your family up north, it's not as much of a commitment to make that decision to move into your community.
Right, exactly. It's not, I mean, I think a lot of our residents do come into our community because they are looking for that security for a length of time. They want to stay perhaps through the balance of their lifetime. But if that something arises and the kids want them up north, or they decide, they need something different, you really can get out at any time without any type of binding commitment. So that's a perk for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. All right, moving along. I'm going to go kind of go in chronological order here. Carrie, you are an independent living community. I know you do also have assisted living and memory care without the skilled. So not necessarily a CCRC, more of a continuum of care, but not quite the whole shebang. So your beautiful new independent living community is a state-of-the-art community. Talk to us about some of the things that you can get in an independent living community like yours. What's included in the rent, and what are some of the advantages of going into a place like yours?
So Discovery Village at Naples Independent Living, as Amanda just mentioned, we are a rental community. So there is a monthly rental fee. Inclusive in that rental fee would be our residents dining. They will receive, we have names under our brand, celebrations, which would be activities and events. With the independent resident, we provide not only activities by the day and bingo and line dancing and book club and elements like that, but we also, pre-COVID, after COVID is gone, we offer, day trips and road trips. So they actually did do a bus trip down to the Everglades, socially distancing. They didn't really get out of the bus, but they did what they called bus bingo. But we hope after COVID lifts, they can travel into the Blue Ridge Mountain Zone for autumn colors, or even possibly take a maybe casino cruise or something like that. So that would be our activities and events. We did a Valentine's Day dinner dance last Friday night for them. Also inclusive in their rent, they receive our Dimensions, which is our health and fitness. We have a beautiful state-of-the-art fit camp is what we call it. And that is, it's kind of like a gym, but it's upscale gym, and it has all her equipment. So the equipment that is in our fit camp is manufactured in Helsinki and is designed specifically for the senior. So it's not the same equipment that you're going to Planet Fitness and using. The equipment in our fit camp is designed specifically for the age of the population we're serving. In addition to that, they all receive a personal trainer.
Oh.
And our trainer currently, she is on the Discovery payroll. She's not a contract employee. She's one of our employees. And she works currently Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As our census increases, she will be full-time 5 days a week.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we also have Expressions, which is our concierge. And we do have concierge service 7 days a week for our residents. We have Connections, which is our transportation. So on our campus, we actually have 2 buses and 2 sedans. A lot of our residents in independent living are still driving. Some of them are transitioning from driving to actually being chauffeured. So as they transition and maybe aren't comfortable driving anymore, or eyesight is starting to deteriorate a little bit, we can provide transportation for them. And we also have Impressions, which is our housekeeping. So all of our residents receive weekly housekeeping. They will clean their apartments. We'll also launder their sheets and their towels for them. If they choose to purchase more housekeeping or additional housekeeping, those services are available to them.
Yeah, and I think the only I'm missing from our panel is a true active adult, like 55 and over apartment complex. So I'd say the primary difference between a community such as Carrie's and a community that's just an active adult 55 plus is you don't get all of those services. So they may offer a little bit of transportation and socialization, and there may be a gym there, but you're not going to get that hands-on touch. Wouldn't you say, Carrie, that you're going to get like in a traditional independent living community where you have consistent activities and lots of love.
Right. Lots of love. And, you know, I feel that question is somewhat unique to each community, Amanda.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out, so a difference between a 55 or 65 plus community and Discovery Village Independent is, again, we sit on just under 16 acres. So we have a campus environment. And then we also do provide the assisted living and memory care. If they would choose or would need a higher level of care, they can stay right within the Discovery campus. And it's not like a major move now into a memory care or an assisted living. They're right there within, you know, our arms and our umbrella in our village, no pun intended.
In your village. Very well done. Okay, Colleen, we're going to talk about some acronyms again. Colleen is, again, over at Tuscany Villa, beautiful assisted living community with excellent dining as well. All of you have such fantastic food, but your chef really knocked it out of the park the last time I was there. So I got to give a shout out to you. What would you, so again, with the acronyms, we have ADLs. Tell us what an ADL is and how that may change someone's level of care and how much they're paying in assisted living.
Sure. ADL stands for Activities of Daily Living. And the best way to describe it for anybody is the things you do for self-care. Things such as getting dressed in the morning, bathing, grooming, going to the bathroom, how you go from here to there. Do you walk? Do you use a cane? Do you need a walker? Are you independent with how you walk? Your personal hygiene, all those things are part of the ADLs. And in assisted living, those things can be provided. We provide assistance to help with those things for someone who can't do them on their own. And that's one of the benefits of moving into a senior community where they have aides that can help them with that. So what we normally do, and I don't know if you want me to go into this, but normally an assessment is done for a potential new resident. And I believe we all do levels of care on this panel. So what it normally is, it's a point system and it's based on how much hands-on or time spent with a resident doing those activities of daily living. Somebody, I always use the example of showering. Somebody might come in and they need no help at all with showering. Somebody might just need standby assistance because they're afraid of falling. Right. But then you have somebody that needs a full hands-on assist with getting in that shower, placing them in a shower chair, really, you know, bathing them and then making sure they safely get out and are, you know, dried and dressed. So that's different levels of points based on how much of that time is spent.
And another thing that I get a lot when I'm getting phone calls on our referral line is people really don't know where to start and what kind of community that they need. There are several different types of licenses that are out there. Do you, again, with the acronyms, do you want to talk about some of the different licenses that are available and how one might determine which way to, you know, to begin their search or which one to look at?
Sure, and please, fellow panelists, jump in if I miss something. In the state of Florida, there's 4. Everyone has to have a standard license, which says that we're going to provide you with a place to live. We're going to provide you with meals, some socialization, and just a safe environment to come and live then different communities can go what's called a specialty license. Tuscany Villa, we have the LNS or Limited Nursing Services license. And that says that we can provide, on top of the standard license, some additional nursing options, such as things relating to catheters, things relating to, if someone is, having issues with urine analysis, and wound care, things like that. After that is the ECC, the Extended Congregate Care License, and that would be something that my partner over here, Tammy, has. And that's where more nursing is involved, but you still want to keep a person out of a specific facility, like a nursing home facility. So they still have a residential type of experience. So I think I'm freezing up. I don't know if you can see that or not.
I can hear you, which is perfectly fine.
Okay.
So keep talking.
And then, yes. So, and then the last license, which we don't see a lot of right now, is the limited mental health license. And that's for somebody who does have a mental condition and they've been deemed disabled by, say, Social Security. And those licenses, I don't think we have enough of those perhaps in the area.
We certainly don't. And Tammy's been a great resource for me because I didn't know where to turn when I needed to refer someone there. So we'll jump over to Tammy. I know that you have a special spot for memory care. It's definitely something that is important to you, and you do a lot of philanthropic work in the community as well. You have a program specifically at Barrington Terrace called the Reflections Program. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So memory care communities, and there are many very good memory care communities in the Southwest Florida market, typically are designed to serve residents who are in that moderate to severe stage of dementia. And what we discovered probably like 7 years ago, was that we had two very different types of memory care residents. We had that moderate resident who needed busy, active, engaged living where, we were keeping them from one activity to the next during the day, so they had structure during the day. And we also had residents at the more severe end of the spectrum where that busy, active environment was almost too much for them. It was stimulation overload. So we developed a specialty neighborhood, which we are still, remain the only one in Naples that has this, and piloted a program called Reflections. And Reflections is for not just cognitive impairment. We have folks who come to us straight from hospice units or hospice admissions with very end-stage hospice diagnoses as well. So it's not just cognitive impairment. It is really people at that higher end of the spectrum that would often be referred to a skilled nursing facility, but they don't need that skilled nursing facility level of care, and they can come to Reflections. The staffing ratio is almost ICU level staffing. It's 1 to 5, one caregiver to 5 residents. Most of the residents in this neighborhood are higher level of care, 2-person transfers, need assistance with meals. It is a closed door neighborhood, but not secured. So for folks that are, not able to elope or not an elopement risk that you would see in a traditional memory care neighborhood, this is a little different. The focus there is on aromatherapy, quieter activities, music and memory. It's really one-on-one or even 2 residents to 1 caregiver ratio. And it is led by a fantastic gentleman who actually was the National Council of Certified Dementia Practitioners CDP of the Year in 2019, nationally recognized. And we hired him from hospice, and I worked with him at hospice together. He comes with a ton of innovative ideas on reaching residents who need a very special individualized approach. In addition to that, we have our traditional memory care, which is busy and active, and Our goal there is to use music and activities and aromatherapy to engage and keep those residents occupied during the day so that they have an enriching experience. And the two neighborhoods together are under the leadership of Linda Alvarez, who's one of the most fantastic memory care directors I've worked with. And she's amazing.
Couldn't agree more with that statement. Linda's fantastic. Now, when do you, it's such a delicate balance on, you know, when somebody's happily confused and able to live in their assisted living apartment with just a little bit of supervision. When would you say the family should start considering a move into a secure, more, you know, a more secure living environment?
Sure. So most folks end up going into memory care with the community staff saying, hey, you know, it's time to think about memory care. Very rarely in my 7 years here at Barrington have I had a family come to me and say, I think it's time for my mom to go to memory care. That never happens, right, ladies? So usually it's our team noticing either three things. They need more assistance during mealtime. Personal assisted living does not provide that at the table prompting to eat. They need a secure environment because there's a safety concern. Either they have already had an incident where things may not have been safe for them, or their behavior is indicating that that might be a possibility. But the more common one is that our engagement team notices that that person's not going to activities anymore, and they used to be very active. Or they're going to activities, but they're not able to participate because the activity is not geared towards their cognitive level. That's probably the most common denominator for when we feel someone is appropriate for memory care. Unfortunately, what happens is sometimes communities, you know, talk to families and families aren't ready yet, and it becomes one of those two other reasons. You know, well, let's wait. And what happens within that let's wait period is that person becomes more and more reclusive, less social, and we see a larger cognitive decline during that period. So, you know, when we tour with families, we always offer to tour memory care because we want them to know what that looks like and what that feels like, so that when we start having that conversation, and we start having it early because we know it takes some time to get both the resident and the family ready, you know, it can be a little bit difficult for folks to make that decision sometimes. But it's really more of an engagement level than anything else, or should be based on an engagement level. That's where you see the warning signs first.
Yeah.
And meals, you know, they suddenly will stop coming to meals because they feel like they can't converse at the same level as their peers. And they'll isolate instead of saying, hey, you know, something's going on here.
Yeah. And we'll talk about how to have that conversation. I want to give everybody a chance to answer one more question about their community. Felicia, we'll bounce back up to you. Now, when you're looking at a continuing care retirement community, one of our dear friend, Mr. Bruce Rosenblatt, will say it's better to be 5 years too early than 5 minutes too late. Let's talk about why. What are some of our the healthcare requirements when you're going into a community like this, and your financial requirements, and why? Because you're making a promise to them. So let's go over that.
Sure. So when you decide to move into, you know, a life plan community such as the Arlington, there are different options for you to move into and to see what your affordability range is. So, you know, here at the Arlington, we offer 0% upfront entrance fee back, 50% or an 80% refund. With that refund, I just want to also, you know, put in there, if someone does need to move out, they do have to give us a 30-day notice, and then they get that refund, you know, so many days after they move out, about 45 days, month and a half after they move out. However, if you're moving in, you really want to have a few years in independent living so that you can enjoy all the benefits that it has to offer. It's a very active community, and there's lots of engagements, and you know, the residents over in independent living, they pre-COVID, they were traveling and going on trips and going out and wine parties and having a lot of fun. So you want to make sure that if you're putting down, say you want an 80% refund and you're putting down, you know, $600,000 or $700,000, that you don't want to take 120 of that and only use it for a year or two. You know, you want to spread that out over time so that it's not as expensive to live in an independent living scenario. On the flip side, there's so many benefits to, you know, be having that engagement and whatnot. Now, for the healthcare requirements, you do have to have your physician complete a form and do kind of a history and physical form. And then you get a chance to meet our in-house doctor, our Dr. Backer. She's our medical director for the community. And you get a chance to talk to her and her team, because some folks like having that concierge doctor on site so they can make an appointment, you know, during the week, 5 days a week, and having someone on call. So they do like to have that. So you have to make sure that, you know, this is the right move for you. You want to have more than 2 years without healthcare needs. Of course, no one can anticipate if there's going to be a fall or there's going to be something to happen before you have to use that benefit, but you want to be able to live in your apartment or your freestanding home as long as you can, your estate home. As far as the financial requirements, they do have you fill out a financial application. It does get run through. We have a system and a calculator that tells you exactly how long your funds will last, and it categorizes you, and it helps folks to figure out, is this the right decision for them? And is an entrance fee going to work for them or not with the current financial situation they have? So it's a great tool for us to use with folks who are maybe on the ledge, or maybe they're not sure which direction, and it helps to give them a baseline. But Bruce is 100% right. There's a lot of folks who come here who they're just a little bit too late to be able to enjoy the full offerings for what they have to offer. And you really want them, and that goes for any level of continuum of care that, you know, all of us offer.
Yeah.
They start out at an assisted living, but maybe they're in 6 months, they're going to need memory care, but they want to try and enjoy what they need. So, you know, you always want to be able to enjoy what level of care you have as long as you can.
Yeah, perfect. Very well said. And Renee, I know that in a rental continuing care retirement community such as yours, you're not as stringent with a financial look back. So talk to us about, I know that there's just the community fee and you still have to fill out your 1823 form. So you're still getting assessed by your doctor when you move into the assisted living side of it, but talk to us about how simple it is to move into a community such as Laley Palms.
Right. Well, you're exactly right. Especially with independent living, you have what we actually call an application fee. It's a community fee. It's $2,500, and then your monthly rent the first month that you move in. So it is for, you know, I go back to those folks that want that peace of mind that they're going to have all the levels of care that they may ever need, but are just not wanting to put all their eggs in one basket, or can't.
Or let's say
they need to.
Or let's say they don't qualify for the Arlington. If they don't qualify financially, or if they don't qualify physically, then an option would be, you know, to come over to you.
Absolutely. It's a little more, we're a little bit more forgiving, if you will, in some of the help that you can have beginning memory impairments. As long as you can still live safely and independently, we're going to, you know, look at you as a resident. We're going to accept you as a resident. So it just gives you that another option out there that's going to give you the price point that you need to be at, but also the peace of mind that you're looking for the future.
Perfect. And I know, as we mentioned, your community is it's spread out over a beautiful campus. Carrie, you have everything right there in one site. So talk to me about being able to bring in any outside care. Are you working with home care companies if somebody wanted to stay in their independent living apartment? What are the protocols for bringing in like any outside help?
Okay, so independent living does not have the clinical component that the assisted living has, just to differentiate the two. And yes, we do allow our residents to have home health care and home care private duty. Under the Discovery Senior Living umbrella, we have Discovery at Home, which is the Discovery Home Health provider.
Right.
So we use Discovery at Home for our residents, as well as some of our other community partners. With 175 independent apartments, once we're near capacity, and as people age, they will slowly decline, and they may need help a few days a week or with med management. So we are very well aware that this is going to be a component for our residents. It's just kind of keeping an eye on them and having our Director of Resident Services monitor that. As Tammy kind of said, how engaged are they?
Right.
Is their grooming starting to look like maybe they could use some help a few days a week? And at which point, you know, we or a representative from Discovery will reach out to the family and suggest private duty. The other thing is, you may have a resident, we actually have an outpatient physical therapy facility right on site. Because some of our residents still may have a knee replacement or a hip replacement,
Right.
Or a rotator cuff. So we know that. And so we are able to provide home health for them and physical therapy, occupational therapy right on site for them.
Right after they leave rehab at the Arlington, right, Carrie?
Correct. Shot.
Or at Laley Palm. Sorry.
Or Laley.
We all work together and help each other.
Absolutely. Colleen, do we have you? Are you on?
I don't know what's going on with my video. I apologize for that, but I am here.
Okay, good. And we can hear you clear as a bell. So that's perfectly fine. I just don't want to leave you out.
Thank you.
Now, when somebody is in an assisted living community such as yours, and you see some of these things happening with them not coming down for meals or not participating in activities, when would you say you kind of pull the plug that they're not able to live in an assisted living community anymore and they need to be looking for a higher level of care?
Well, for memory care, it's about quality of life, and it really is, you know, are they active in their own life, or are they just waiting for someone to help them do something? So we really take a look at that, and we also look at, are they a risk of wandering away? So, you know, it's definitely a tough decision for family members, I think, sometimes to put them in a secure environment. But if we explain to them that they will actually have a more fulfilling quality of life by making that change now that their memory or dementia has you know, advanced such,
Sure.
we do have that conversation with them at that point. So
Perfect. Yeah, so it's more about making sure that they're safe and that they have a good quality of life and they're not in an environment that makes them uncomfortable, because I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I'm with a bunch of people that don't understand what I'm saying, and vice versa. So Tammy, just if you want to like wrap it up for us, I know that you have such an extensive background in this disease process. Do you want to talk to us about why memory care communities specifically have specialty programs such as, you know, that link between music and memory and some of those other things, and maybe even touch on the virtual dementia. If you have a loved one that is experiencing cognitive decline, why it would be so important to go through that program so you can see things from their point of view.
Absolutely. So, you know, music is a really important part of how most people in the field reach folks with cognitive impairment at all levels, not just memory care, but in regular assisted living, independent living. You have varying levels of cognitive impairment. And the reason is because, you know, the left side of your brain in general, for most people, not everyone, is what controls memory. And the right side of the brain is what controls rhythm. And typically with a cognitive impairment, you lose memory, but you retain rhythm. And that we've had countless cases of residents in my previous career in hospice for 12 years that, you know, residents who would not respond to anyone talking to them or caring for them, you turn on music or you start singing with them, and suddenly you can get someone who won't speak at all, will sing an entire church hymn. So it isn't just music. You can't just turn on any kind of music and expect a response. It has to be very tailored to that person's interests, number one, and generational appeal. And contrary to popular belief, people think that, oh, if you were born in 1941, then I should play music from 1941. And that's actually wrong. It would be at least 1961 to 1971. You tend to develop your musical taste between 20 and 30 years old. So, you know, it's interesting. And there's a whole training program with the music and memory program that helps with that. And another way that we reach our residents is to do headphones over the ears, because that stimulates a different part of the tympanic membrane and really helps bring that memory that's associated with that music to the front. So it's a really, really great program. And one of the things that we've noticed is using a song or a particular song with a resident to walk, for instance, because that you can get that person, particularly someone with Parkinson's disease. We have a specialty Parkinson's certification. They tend to freeze on a threshold of a door, or freeze if the flooring changes. And if we're singing with that person, then generally we're distracting them long enough that we can get past that threshold or past that barrier to stop that freeze. So it's very fascinating. What works with Colleen may not work with Carrie, but we work really hard with the family and with the resident and try different music and different things to see, you know, what song is going to be Carrie's song. And that's the song everyone will use once we know what it is. And that's a huge component of that. And then the other part of your question, I think, was headed towards when would you not be appropriate to live in memory care anymore? Is that right?
No, I'd asked about, just because and this wasn't on our pre-designed questions, but I'd asked about the virtual dementia tour because
yes.
You do such a good job explaining that. And I think a lot of folks out there that have a loved one with a cognitive impairment really should know more about it.
Absolutely. So there are two programs actually designed to put a family member or a person, participant, whoever they are, in the shoes, literally, of someone with dementia. And one of them is the virtual dementia tour, and the other one is a program called Dementia Live. I'm certified in both of those. And as are the Lely folks, I know, and I believe, Carrie, you have one of those certifications, don't you? Right? Virtual dementia tour. Right. So, and I'm not sure, Felicia, if you guys have it or not, I haven't checked on that, but there are a lot of opportunities for folks to go to a program like this once COVID restrictions change a little bit. And what the participant does is, you know, we have special headphones, glasses, things that will modify your environment and ask you to do some basic tasks to really help you understand why your family member might have confusion when you ask them, or you say, hey, it's 5 o'clock, it's time to come to dinner, why you might get that confused expression. There are so many things that happen in the world that is confusing for folks with dementia. And a big factor of that is just overstimulation. You've got the TV going on, the news at, you know, a level 10 volume because they're hard of hearing. And we're talking to them from the side or from behind them and expecting them to respond and understand. That's just too much chaos. So it really helps families understand how important it is to get right in front of that person, not have a lot of noise, speak very clearly, use hand gestures. You notice I always talked with my hands, but I do even more now. Because it's so important to do that, you know, and saying, do you want to go get something to eat? Now you're combining the hand gesture with the words, so it helps them make that connection. And the virtual dementia tour and the Dementia Live program are both outstanding at helping families make that connection and get the empathy that they need with caregivers.
That's a big part of it too, is getting the empathy, because I've gone through the program, and raise your hand if you have. Most everyone here, I'm sure, has. It's intense. So thank you so much, Tammy. And I'm sure that if anyone is interested in getting that program kicked up in their community, or if you are a senior and you want to bring it into your community center when COVID restrictions ease up, I'm sure Tammy would love to bring that in. So we are right on track with time, ladies. I want to thank you so much for joining us today for our SBB University panel on senior living options in East Naples. And I hope you have a fantastic day.